So first thing we want to do is, introduce evaluating trig functions in the calculator. So using a calculator, can we do these things? So I'm going to pull up my calculator here on the screen as well, and you can get out your calculator. Now let's just kind of like look over the three things that we're being asked to do. Cosine of pi over 4, secant of 0.75, and cotangent of 2.73. What are you noticing about all of those angle measures? They're all in radians, okay? So you're going to have to start paying attention to the fact that all the angles are in radians, and certainly I could show some that we're probably more familiar with where if they're in degrees, but we need to check the mode in our calculator. So you have in the graphing calculator and a scientific calculator, radian and degree mode. If you're on a graphing calculator, come right up next to that second button, right to the right of it. Just hit mode, don't hit second, and then you see your options. Okay. So mine on the third line is in radian mode already. That's great. If I wanted to do like the cosine of 50 degrees, I would need to change it into degree mode. So some of us who maybe have been in physics, we're used to kind of switching in and out, and that's something we'll always have to be paying attention to here in chapter 4 and our later chapters. What mode do we want to be in? So make sure you're in radian mode. If you have a smaller scientific calculator, you should still be able to change the mode. It's like a DRG button, I think. So if you can find that. I'm going to get out of that, so I'm going to do second mode just to quit that. And as long as I'm in the correct mode, then I can start doing my work. So I'm going to do cosine of pi, and you should have a pi button on the graphing calculator if you do second, and then I call that a caret. It's the exponent raised to button. If you do that, you'll get the pi, and then divide by 4. Just make sure like you leave that parentheses open so that you're taking the cosine of all of pi over 4. You can close the parentheses just for good measure. It will give you the same answer if you don't close the parentheses here. And we should come up with a decimal. I would say round to the nearest thousandths place just to be on the safe side. So rather than rounding to the tenth or the hundredth, say that this is approximately 0.07. Okay, so now we've got two other ones, secant and cotangent. What is going to be our issue with those? There are no buttons, right? Okay. So what are we going to do if there are no buttons? You should have done some of this work in your calculator last year, so just have a quick brainstorm at your small tables. You'll only have sine, cosine, and tangent. How are you going to do things like secant, cotangent, or cotangent? See if you can talk with your small group and remember. Anybody recollect how we're going to work like secant, for example? Secant?
Like 1 over the
1 over the cosine. Yes, excellent. So you know that these are, there are really 6 trig functions, the 3 basic trig functions, and then they're reciprocal functions. So that would just mean flipping it. So secant is the reciprocal to cosine. So we would do 1 divided by cosine of 0.75, and then we can type that into our calculator. Okay, so we will do something like 1 divided by cosine 0.75. Again, you can close the parentheses for good measure. It's not going to change your answer on this one if you do or you don't. 1.367. Let us know, me or a table partner, if you're not getting the same answer. We'll look at your work and see if we can figure out what's going on in your calculator. And then, based off of what Tegan gave to us, what are we going to do for cotangent of 2.73? 1 over tangent, 2.73. Okay, so the reciprocal function, sine, its reciprocal is cosecant, cosine, its reciprocal is secant, tangent, its reciprocal is cotangent. So I'm going to do 1 divided by the tangent of 2.73. Again, I'll pay attention to, and you might have some on your homework where instead of being in radians, they are in degrees. So then you need to actively go into your mode and change that mode. This one comes out to be a negative 0.2, negative 2.291. The other one, sine and cosecant, CSC. Okay. Any questions about using your calculator? Oh, anytime the textbook in our homework, anytime we have calculator problems, please take the time to do them, whether you write them down or not. And then also make sure, like, if there are odd problems, you immediately check them in the back of the book to make sure, like, you can type into the calculator and get the answer that we want. Okay. All right, moving right along. I'm going to give you a half sheet all about right triangle trigonometry. These are going to be like your notes for the rest of this section. So I would maybe put these into your notebook. I'll put the tape back out at the desk. So on the front side, you're just going to answer the questions about the triangles, and you can work with your group members and talk and check and make sure that you agree. On the back side, it's blank, and if you're going to tape down both things, then don't write on the back, write below your notes or something like that. But I want you to also draw the special right triangles. So those are what triangles? 45, 45, 90, 30, 60, 90, and then label the sides for each of those. Okay, so you should know some special ratios between the sides of those triangles. And then when you get the front and the back done, check with your group members, and then if all of your group members agree, send one person from your group up to me, and I'll check it, and then you can go ahead and get started on the homework assignment. Okay? But I do want to check one person from each group, and then I'm assuming that the group has agreeing answers for the rest of them. Okay? So I will pass this out, and you guys can go ahead and get started on that. Once you're done, you can get started on your homework assignment.
I know you.